This is the Tudor Black Bay 58. It is one of the most popular watches from Tudor, and today I'm going to give you an in-depth review of the Black Bay 58, and I'm going to tell you the 5 things you have to know before buying it. Let's get started. Many of you have asked about the Black Bay 58 on my Submariner alternatives video, so now, here it is. But before we take a closer look on the watch, I want to say thank you to all of you who subscribed to my channel and commented on my videos. It's truly amazing to see all the positive feedback, and as a thank you from me, I want to do a giveaway to celebrate hitting the 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, so make sure to watch until the end, and I'm also going to address your questions about myself and the channel, so keep watching for that. The Black Bay 58 has been around since 2018 and was inspired by the 1958 Tudor Oyster Prince Submariner 7924. The 1958 version brought a lot of innovation like the 200-meter water resistance to Tudor's product portfolio, and now 2 years after Tudor introduced its Black Bay 58, people seem to be equally excited with this one. With a price of $3,250 US, the Black Bay 58 sits in a very competitive price bracket, and chances are many of you watching this might consider pulling the trigger on this one. So let's see what the Black Bay 58 is all about and what 5 things you should consider before buying. At first, the Black Bay 58 looks a lot like the standard Black Bay, but there's one major difference, and that is the case size. The standard Black Bay, which is the predecessor of the 58, has the same black and rose gold features on the dial, with a black bezel and a 60-minute graduation, but Tudor packed it all into a 41mm case with a height of 14.8mm to fit the in-house caliber MT5602. Those measurements make the standard Black Bay a pretty thick and bulky watch that is arguably unsuitable for wrists smaller than, let's say, 175mm. And when we look back at the 1960s era from which the Black Bay has inherited its design, watches and even divers were a lot smaller. So now with the Black Bay 58, Tudor has introduced a classic diver with a 39mm diameter, a height of 11.9mm and a lug-to-lug width of 47.5mm, making the 58 the actual homage to the 7924 Oyster Prince Submariner. This makes the 58 a perfect watch for smaller wrists, especially with the 150 to 180mm range, but everyone with bigger wrists should definitely try on the watch in person, as this could be the first diver that might look too small for you. Okay, so now that we have talked about the shape of the 58, the next point is critical, especially for those who actually plan on wearing their 58 instead of letting it become a safe queen. What would a diver be without a unidirectional bezel? Well, probably not a diver, I guess. So when looking at the Black Bay 58, we can see a beautiful anodized matte black bezel with a 60-minute warm-toned rose gold graduation printed on it. On top sits a little pearl filled with superluminova on a bright red triangle for better legibility. The grooves on the bezel are rather small, making it feel a bit slippery when trying to turn it. So to twist the bezel, I recommend pushing down with both fingers and then turning it instead of trying to grip its sides. That being said, I like that they added some type of locking mechanism at the 12 or 0-minute mark, and also a 60-click turning instead of the 120 clicks we know from a lot of other divers, which makes it easier to lock it into the standard position. But the devil with this bezel lies in the detail. As I said, the bezel is anodized, which means that it has to be made from aluminium in order to be anodized. And this is where you have to be a bit more careful to the often used ceramic bezels in modern divers. This bezel is way more prone to scratches. So those of you who prefer the brand new look on their watches should either take very good care of their Black Bay 58 when wearing it, or consider a different watch with a more robust material. Now that we know about the case design, its size and material, we should continue with arguably the most important part of the watch. Telling the time is as easy as pie with the Black Bay 58 thanks to its clean and simple dial design, but for some, one thing is definitely missing here. Tudor continued its rose gold theme from the bezel onto the dial and gave us an overall very warm looking watch with the 58. The dial itself is matte black, and when you look close enough, you can see that it is very finely grained. The chapter ring imprinting, as well as the hour markers and the lettering on the dial, have the same exact rose gold color. The seconds, minutes and hour hands are not made from solid gold, like for example in Rolex watches, but are plated. Something that doesn't really bother me, but I have to say that depending on the light, the hands tend to look a little bit more yellow gold than the rest of the watch. Overall, I think Tudor did an amazing job at picking the perfect off-white color for their superluminova on the hour markers and the snowflake hands, which got introduced by Tudor in 1969. In my opinion, the warm-toned off-white goes perfectly with the rose gold and the overall vintage vibe that I get from this watch. I am happy that they did not push the vintage theme too hard and applied some overly yellowed Fortina on the looms, like we see Longines did on the dial of its heritage military, for example. But even though Tudor did absolutely amazing with all their dial parts, they missed a big opportunity in my opinion, and that's putting in a date. I know this is a hit or miss for most people, but to me an added date, maybe above like 6 o'clock, would be the cherry on top. So if a date on watch is important to you, but you like the look of the Black Bay 58, you might be better off with going for a Black Bay GMT or the Black Bay Steel and Gold. Bracelets or straps on a watch can be a tricky thing. The best example would be the Odysseus from A. Lange & Söhne from my first video with its highly debated 5-link integrated steel bracelet. And with the Black Bay 58, we get another watch that seems to split watch lovers into two groups. Those who really love it and those who, well, don't. So let's see what everyone's talking about. First of all, you can get the Black Bay 58 in 3 variations. You can get it with a full steel bracelet, with a leather strap, or with a fabric strap. But as the steel bracelet is the most debated one, we are going to focus on the steel version for now. The steel bracelet on the Black Bay 58 has a nice satin finish to it, consisting of 3 links with a little groove on the side of the outer links. But on the side of the bracelet, you can see the culprit of the bracelet debate. On each link, you find 2 little rivets attached to it. And I'm saying attached because they're not actually holding anything together. Those rivets are just there for design purposes. Of course, this is a matter of personal preference, but I have to admit that I find the whole idea of rivets rather silly, as they do not really serve a purpose other than making the watch look a bit more rough. But on the other side, it fits the overall vintage feel and look on the watch, so I can kind of understand why Tudor has put them there. So, in case you plan on buying the full steel version of the Black Bay 58, make sure to really look at the bracelet in person to see if you like the design of it. Additionally, there's one more thing you should really consider when trying on the Black Bay 58 in person and take a closer look at. It's the clasp of the 58. As expected, it feels well made and the satin finish looks very nice with the round edges on the clasp, but there's one thing I'm really disappointed by. As soon as it gets warmer or you just heat up naturally, your wrist size does increase a little. Especially with steel bracelets, I find that they get really uncomfortable as soon as they get even a little bit too tight than what you're used to. So even though the folding steel clasp on the Black Bay 58 has a safety catch, there is no quick adjustment, which means that you either have to just deal with it if you want to keep the steel bracelet, or you have to switch up to a different strap in the summertime. Okay, so the last point number 5, might be the hardest to figure out, so let me explain the situation with a little question I want you to think about. When was the last time you wanted something very specific, but it was either too expensive, not available, or you thought you wanted it, but it was really not actually 100% what you wanted? All of what I just said applies for some to the Black Bay 58, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, first of all, many see the Black Bay 58 as a good alternative to the more expensive and right now pretty much unavailable Rolex Submariner. But that is exactly where some might make a huge mistake. If deep down you really want a sub but then go ahead and buy the Black Bay 58 instead, chances are that you'll be really disappointed within a short time. The Black Bay 58 and the sub might seem quite similar on the first look, but when you look at both for more than a few seconds, you can clearly see that these two divers are completely different. The sub is extremely cool toned with its stark contrast between the silver, white and black colors compared to the 58, and the case is much chunkier and the bezel with its edge is way more prominent. The two watches differ also in terms of their perception and the overall, let's say, character of the watch. Because let's be real, nowadays wearing a sub isn't always perceived in a good way. The sub has become sort of the embodiment of the flex culture in terms of watches, but the Black Bay appears to be the antidote to it. It's an equally high quality diver with amazing proportions, without all the negative connotations that come with wearing a Rolex. And one more thing, and that's really just speculation on my part, but Tudor uses this newly developed caliber MT5402 only in this Black Bay. And for me, it seems a lot of work to only use that caliber for just one watch, and therefore it seems quite logical that Tudor will expand their Black Bay 58 line and perhaps maybe add some new colors or complications to it to give us an overall bigger variety with that movement. And who knows, maybe we get to see a new 58 this year in April at Bezel 2020. Okay, so those were my 5 things you should be aware of before buying the Black Bay 58. Like always, and with pretty much every other watch, I would recommend seeing this watch in person before buying it to really get a feel for the proportions and the overall fit on your wrist. I have to say that I'm absolutely in love with the Black Bay 58, not just because of the smaller size and the case design, but also because of the color scheme and the material Tudor used on this. In my opinion, they perfected the warm colors which give off the vintage vibe without pushing it too far. And I also think that the snowflake hands are absolutely beautiful, and rose gold is my favorite precious metal anyway. The only thing I'm not 100% on board with is the bracelet, but thankfully the Black Bay 58 is a strap monster and you can personalize it very well. But what do you think about the Black Bay 58? Do you like the vintage design or do you prefer a more contemporary look with watches? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so now let's get straight to my 10,000 subscribers giveaway. Like I said, I'm absolutely blown away by your support and I want to give something back to you. Therefore, I am giving away this beautiful brand new watch roll. It is handmade from dark brown leather with a crocodile leather embossment on it. You can safely fit 3 watches in here and bring your watch roll on your holidays with you, or just keep it as a very nice looking watch roll at home to safely store your favorite pieces. And to get a chance of winning this roll, there are only 3 things you have to do. First, you have to be subscribed to my channel. You must have an address where I can send it to. And last but not least, leave a comment down below and tell me what video you want to see next. And that's it. I will announce the winner in 2 weeks, so make sure to hit the little bell down below to get notified whenever I post a new video. Okay, so a lot of you have been asking me all sorts of questions about myself, what I'm doing, what this channel is all about, and where I'm from. So to clear up all the confusion, here it is. I think some of you can tell that I'm German, I'm from Germany. And by the way, props to those who figured it out by noticing how I count to 3. Apparently it's the 1, 2, 3, giving it away that I'm German. And to explain a little bit more about my watch background, I think it's best to start at the beginning. So my partner and I started a German channel about watches called Watchwise, and that was about a year ago, where we talk about everything watch related. And I'm still working on that channel, where I do a lot of research and writing about watches, as well as filming them, and I edit the videos. And so last year, I think it was in December, we did our first video with me as the narrator, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. And so I decided to start my own channel. And because I studied in Scotland and we already filmed a lot of my content in German, I thought an English channel would be a great idea. So on this channel, I want to get my content out to an international audience and show you guys a lot more of my perspective on watches. I also want to bring some of the amazing videos we did in German, but also, of course, mix it with brand new videos that I want to make. Essentially, I want to focus on creating a channel that welcomes everyone who likes watches, no matter for what reason. Because I feel like the watch community can sometimes be a very scary place, especially for people who are new to the topic. And I want to make talking about watches fun. I want to make it lighthearted without compromising on information. Okay, so that was it for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.